fault line late night. Underneath the stars we came alive, and singing to the sky just felt right. I won't forget the good times, while the punks started picking fights with the skater kids under city lights. Remember how we laughed till we cried. I won't forget the good times. I never wanna leave this sunset town, but one day the time may come, and I'll take you at your word and carry on. I'll hate the goodbye, but I won't forget the good times. I won't forget the good times. We were bare knuckle, tight lip, middle fingers up, ego trip. Devil may care, but we didn't mind. I won't forget the good times. We're the boys in black, smoking cigarettes, chasing girls who didn't know love yet. As the bonfire moon came down, I won't forget the good times. I never wanna leave this sunset town, but one day the time may come, and I'll take you at your word and carry on. I'll hate the goodbye, but I won't forget the good times. I won't forget the good times. When we laughed, when we cried, those were the days. We owned the nights, locked away, lost in time. I found the nerve to say that I never wanna leave this sunset town, but one day the time may come, and I'll take you at your word and carry on. I'll hate the goodbye, but I won't forget the good times. I won't forget the good times. I never wanna leave this sunset town, but one day the time may come, and I'll take you at your word and carry on. I hate the goodbye, but I won't forget the good times.
Hello, everyone. We won't forget the
Hello.
good times. This is a video that one of our organizers, Stefano, did, and I don't think he knew there was a pandemic coming, but now when I watch this video, I get so, like, I miss the events in person. Do you miss the in-person events, Elisa?
Absolutely. I used to be in so many events monthly, not just annually, and I just miss the people. I miss the interaction with people, all the fun. We had some amazing time.
Yeah, I used to meet you so many times a year going to
I know.
Now I don't know when I'm going to see you again.
Yeah, it's terrifying, but I'm sure it's going to continue at some point, and it's going to be as awesome as it used to be.
Well, at least for now, we can still have some of these connections online. We can still have some, I don't know, meetups online.
Yeah, that's a really good alternative.
Yeah, definitely. So today, shall we just introduce ourselves?
Sure, go ahead first.
Yeah, so my name is Amanda Cavallaro. I'm one of the hosts of GDG Cloud London, who is hosting this event tonight. I mean, it's weird to say tonight when this video is recorded, so I don't know what time you're watching this. So I'm a Google Developers expert for the Google Assistant, and I'm very keen to try out this new Actions Builder. And I think it's very interesting to see also from my perspective and Elisa's to see how this whole coming from dialogue flow to Actions Builder works for us. I work as a software developer here in London, and I'm also Womentechmakers ambassador, and I guess that's me. Elisa?
Oh, my name is Elisa Camber, and I am also a Google developer expert on the Google Assistant. But I am mostly, like, my day job is being an Android developer at Explicity. It's an agency in the Netherlands. And currently I'm in Greece. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're all in different cities right now. I'm actually here in London because I didn't want to go to Brazil right now, but we should all be. Hi, we'll have someone who joined here. So to the people
I'm much closer.
who just arrived now, we share the link here in the comments for the Codelabs that we're going to go through today. And you can take it in your own pace. We're going to be here. If you prefer to mute us and do it at your own pace and just ask us the questions or follow along with us, do it in the way that feels right to you. Shall we get to it, Elisa?
Sure.
So there are different levels of Codelabs. For you to get to this link, you can either access the link that we shared here, or if you go to codelabs.developers.google.com, then you search on the right for filter by category, assistant. Then it's going to be the first one. And I don't know when you're watching these videos, but they tend to be updated. Sometimes they change the names, but the one that we're going through is the level 1 for the build actions for Google Assistant using Actions Builder. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit. So what we're going to tackle today are steps 1 to 6. And you're going to hear our beautiful voices here talking a lot today. Elisa, would you like to get started with the overview?
Sorry, Amanda, can you repeat?
Yeah, sure. Could you get started maybe reading the overview? We're going to go in rounds here. Each one reads something.
Sure. So the Google Developer Platform lets you create software to extend the functionality of the Google Assistant, a virtual personal assistant across more than 1 billion devices, including smart speaker, phones, cars, TVs, headphones, and more. Users engage in Assistant in conversations to get things done, such as buying groceries or booking a ride. As a developer, you can use the Assistant Developer platform to easily create and manage delightful and effective conversational experiences between users and your own third-party fulfillment services. This code block covers beginner-level concepts for developing with a Google Assistant. You do not need any prior experience with the platform to complete it. In this code lab, you build a simple action for the Google Assistant that tells user their fortune, and they begin their adventure in the mythical land of Griffenberg. In the Actions Builder Level 2 Code Lab, you build out this action further to customize the user's fortune based on their input. So what we're going to build today in this Code Lab, it's a simple action that follows these functionalities. Responds to users with a greeting message, ask the user a question, and when they answer, the action responds appropriately to the user selection. Provides suggestion sheets, and users can click on them, and then you provide more input. And then you can modify the greeting message to the user based on whether they are a returning user or not. When we finish this code loop and we complete the action, we are going to have the following conversation module. So first, to initiate a test action, you say, talk to my test app. And the Google Assistant will reply to you with, here is the test version of my test app. From then on, we have our welcome greeting message. A wondrous greeting, adventurer. Welcome to the mythical land of Gryffindor. Based on your clothes, you are not from around these lands. It looks like you're on your way to an epic journey. Before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? So if the user says yes, we are going to respond with your future depends on the item you choose to use for your quest. Choose wisely, farewell, stranger. If the user says no, thank you, or no, then we are going to respond with, I understand, stranger. Best of luck on your quest. Farewell. So what we're going to learn is, first of all, how to create a project in the Actions console, how to send a prompt to the user after they invoke the action, how to process a user's input and return a response, how to test our action in the action simulator, how to implement the fulfillment using the Cloud Functions editor. And what we're going to need is just a web browser.
I think, thank you very much, Elisa. I think compared to what we built for the one Codelab level 1 of Dialogflow, it was a fortune teller for the number, right? It was, you give a number and then it would give you based on the length of the number, you would get a color. Was that it?
It would give you like a random color. Yeah, I think that it was depending on.
Yeah, there was something like if length was something, then a color. So for this one, it sounds more exciting. Let's see.
Indeed.
Which browser are you going to use, Elisa?
I am using Chrome.
Let me see. I'm actually using Chrome. You know, I've been using a lot of Edge lately, surprisingly. I actually seem to enjoy that a lot.
Well, okay, let's go. I'm not feeling that adventurous.
No, really. I've been really enjoying it. It almost feels like it's not me saying it. But okay, we're going with Google Chrome today.
Okay.
Just for the people who joined now. So we're following the Codelab's number 1. We're taking our own pace here, but feel free to, if you're faster than us, to just follow, ask questions in the chat, and we'll be here to help you out. So part number 2 is setup. The following sections describe how to set up your development environment and create your Actions project. Check your Google permission settings. To test the action you will build in this Codelab, you need to enable the necessary permissions so the simulator can access your action. To enable permissions, follow these steps. Go to the activity controls page. You can click here. It's going to take you to the page. Sign in with your Google account. If you have not already done so, enable the following permissions. Web and app activity. Under Web and App Activity, check the box next to Include Chrome History and Activity from sites, apps, and devices that use Google services. I believe this one is specific for Chrome, but if you're using something else, you should see, I think, something different. Create an Actions project. Your Actions project is a container for your action. To create your Actions project for this Codelab, follow these steps. Open the Actions console. There is a link here. You can simply click it. Click New Project. Type in a project name, and the example that they give you is Actions-Codelab. The name is for your internal reference. Later, you can set an external name for your project. So this is what it looks like there. You write down your project name, the language, and the country or region. Actually, in this part, I'm never really sure if it has to do, also because I live in a different country, so I'm not sure if it's where your Google Cloud account is or the region where you're hosted. I always put this one, the region where I am, where my account is, not like if I'm traveling, if you're in a different country right now. I believe it's where your account is, possibly where your credit card that you have with your account is. By the way, I'm saying credit card, but this is free to use, I mean. Then you're going to click Create Project. And in the what kind of action do you want to build screen, select the custom card, click Next, and select the blank project card, then click Start Building. So I'm going to do these steps here on my own right now. Click New Project. You probably cannot see my screen. I'm going to call it Actions Codelab. And I'm choosing the region, language English, region, creating project. Then we choose what kind, so custom, which is the last one. Click Next on the top. Then you click in blank project and start building. And then it starts to add the Firebase resources. It says ready to go. And then it takes a little while. I think because it's creating everything that you're going to need in this Google Cloud project to build your action. And as I can see, as the URL is console.actions.google.com, at this point, nothing has changed. Okay, so we have the next step now. We have you're probably in a screen where you can see display name, Google Assistant voice, and the next steps are on the next steps. Elisa, would you like to go on?
Sure. So how do we start a conversation? Users start the conversation with your action through invocation. For example, if you have an action named movie time, users can invoke your action by saying phrases like, "Okay, Google, talk to movie time," where movie time is a display name. Your action must have a display name if you want to deploy it in media. Okay, Google, stop. So I should have made it to stop first. Okay, so the display name is mandatory if you want to use it in production. However, to test your action, you don't need to define the display name. Instead, you can use a phrase like "talk to my test app" in the simulator to invoke the action. You must edit the main invocation to define what happens after a user invokes your action. So the main invocation is an entry point for users starting the conversation. When users say a phrase like similar to "okay, talk to my whatever," the main invocation triggers and responds to the user. By default, action builders provide a generic prompt when your invocation is triggered. Start building your action by defining the main invocation. Key terms, the prompt, which defines what your action sends to the user as a response. Prompts can be simple text and speech responses or rich messages like hearts and images. You can use a special prompt canvas to return full screen visuals to the screen. And there is a link here for more information if you want to learn more about this. So in the next section, we're going to customize the prompt for our main invocation in the Actions console. So to set up the main invocation, to modify the prompt your action sends back to the user, when you invoke your action, follow these steps. First of all, click the main invocation in the left navigation. Maybe it's better if I share my screen on the...
Cool. Go ahead. So this is the screen that she's referring to. She's just going to put hers up in here.
Oh, you can keep yours as well, and I can continue reading. That works as well.
Okay, go on.
All right. So click the main invocation in the left navigation. All right. In the code editor on the right side, replace the text in the speech field, "Start building your action," with the following welcome message. "A wondrous greeting, adventurer. Welcome to the mythical land of Gryffindor. Based on your clothes, you are not from around these lands. It looks like you are on your way to an epic journey. And then you click save.
Okay, save, stop right here. Yeah.
All right. Test the main invocation in the simulator. The Action Console provides a web tool for testing your action called the simulator. The interface simulates hardware devices and their settings, so you can converse with your action as if you were running on a smart display phone speaker or Kai OS. You can find the most recent information about using the Action Console Simulator in the Action Simulator Guide, and there is a link over here. Refer to it if you run into any issues. When you invoke your action, it should now respond with a customized prompt you added. To test your action's main invocation in the simulator, follow these steps. In the top navigator bar, click Test to go to the simulator. To invoke your action in the simulator, type Talk to my test lab in the input field on the top left and press Enter.
Just before I press enter, in my case here, talk to my test app was already written, and there was also a suggestion chip that I could have clicked or spoken here.
Got it. Let's get the test version of my test app.
A wondrous greeting, adventurer. Welcome to the mythical land of Griffinburg. Based on your clothes, you are not from around these lands. It looks like you're on your way to an epic journey.
So when you trigger your action's main invocation, the assistant responds with a customized welcome message. At this point, the conversation ends after the assistant responds with a greeting. In the next section, we are going to modify this action so that the conversation continues. We can also view the event logs. So when you're in the Test tab, the panel on the right shows the event logs, which display the conversation history as event logs.
Hang on, I can't seem to find it. English.
It's where you are actually. It's
okay, view logs in Google
screen.
Cloud Platform. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that screen that you're showing right now.
Okay.
So each event log displays the events that happen during that turn of the conversation. Your action currently has one event log, which shows both of the user's input, talk to my test app, and your action's response. The following screenshot, it has a screenshot that Amanda is showing as well over there. If you click on the downwards arrow in the event log, you can see the events arranged chronologically that occur in that turn of the conversation. User input corresponds to the user's input, which in this case is talk to my test app. Interaction match corresponds to your action's main invocation response, which was triggered by the user's input. If you expand this row by clicking the arrow, you can see the prompt you added for the main invocation, the wondrous greeting adventurer. The end of the conversation corresponds to the selected transition in the main invocation intent, which currently ends the conversation. Event logs provide visibility into how your action is working and are useful tools for debugging your action if you have any issues.
Yeah, I was just checking that there was this part here that you can also view the logs in the Google Cloud Platform. Cool. Let me stop sharing this screen. And let's go to the next step. Now we're going to number 4, create your actions conversation. Share screen. I'm going to leave the Chrome tab here. And then maybe Elisa could put hers up if she's going to type something in this one. So Create your actions conversation. Now that you've defined what happens after a user invokes your action, you can build out the rest of your actions conversation. Before continuing on with the Codelab, familiarize yourself with the following terms to understand how your actions conversation works. And if you're coming here from building with Dialogflow and actions on Google before, there are some new terms here that you haven't heard of before. So let's see the key terms. The first one is a scene. It is a building block for your action that processes user input and typically generates the response to the user. Custom intents often activate other scenes, but scenes can also become activated in other ways. So this is a new concept. It's okay if it's still not very clear for you. So it mentioned a custom intent. It defines user input that the action can understand. You define the training phrases, so the phrases that the users are going to talk to your action for these intents. When user says something that matches or is similar to a training phrase, the corresponding intent is matched. Then training phrases, as I said, examples of what a user might say to match an intent. The assistant NLU, which stands for Natural Language Understanding engine, naturally expands these training phrases to include other similar phrases. Transition, this is also a new concept. It defines which scene to transition to once the condition is met. Your action can have one or many scenes, and you must activate each scene before it can run. The action you build in this Codelab only has one scene titled Start. The most common way to activate a scene is to configure your action so that when a user matches a user intent within a scene, that intent triggers the transition to another scene and activates it. For example, imagine a hypothetical action that provides the user with animal facts. When the user invokes this action, the main invocation intent is matched and triggers the transition to a scene named facts. This transition activates the fact scene, which sends the following prompts to the user. Would you like to hear a fact about about cats or dogs? Within the fact scene, there is a custom intent called cat, which contains training phrases that the user might say to hear a cat fact, like, I want to hear a cat fact, or cat. When the user asks to hear a cat fact, the cat intent is matched and triggers a transition to a scene called cat fact. The cat fact scene activates and sends a prompt to the user that includes a cat fact. So all of these that I was explaining can be seen in this graph here. So there's this workflow of everything that I just talked about. So we have here the user, the assistant, and the conversational action. So let's see how it works. So we have user query, then it goes to the assistant, intent, matching, and slot filling. That goes to the conversation action. That goes to the scene logic. There are two options here. There can be a scene execution loop, or it can go back to the assistant. Then there is a deliver of the prompt back to the user. So figure 1, there is the flow of a typical conversational turn in an action build with Actions Builder. Together, scenes, intents, and transitions make up the logic for your conversation and define the various paths your user can take through your actions conversation. In the following section, you are going to create a scene and define how it is activated after a user invokes your action. So, transition from main invocation to scene. We're going to create a scene called start, which sends a prompt to the user asking if they would like their fortune told. You will also add a transition from the main invocation to the new start scene. To create,
Amanda, shall I share? Sorry for interrupting, but shall I share my screen so that you can continue reading?
so if you put here, I'm going to pull that in and remove mine.
All right.
Let's see if someone has any questions. So people seem to be following. If you have any questions at any moment, just give us a shout. Just write in the chat. Let's see a couple of people who are here. We got many highs. People from all around the world. That's so cool. I do miss the in-person events, but also having the possibility of having people from all around here is a blessing. So we have Eliza's screen here, and let's go. Transition from main invocation to scene. Sorry, have I read? No, I don't think I read this part. In this section, you're going to create a new scene called Start, which sends a prompt to the user asking if they would like their fortune told. You also add a transition from the main invocation to the new Start scene. To create this scene and add a transition to it, follow these steps. Number 1, click Develop in the top navigation, then click Main Invocation in the left navigation. In the transition section on the right, click on the drop-down menu and type Start in the text field. Could you find it? So
no.
There's a transition. Let me just repeat. In the transition section on the right. Oh, hang on. Click Main Invocation, yes.
Yeah. Maybe here.
Then there is a right part. There is a drop-down menu. Let's see. So, main
Is it a scene that you have to
add? Hang on. Let's see. Let's go to the part 1. Click Develop in the top navigation. Then click Main Invocation. You're there. In the left navigation. In the transition section on the right, I believe that thing must be on the top. Try closing that. No.
No.
Let me also try to get mine working here. So we are in Develop. We click Main
here, I found it.
Okay, let me find this as well. Hang on. So I click Main Invocation. Then where do I? Oh, in the bottom. There is transition in the bottom right.
Yeah.
It was covered. And then we're going to click the drop down and we're going to type Start. In the example here, Start was capitalized with the S and then Start. I don't know if it matters, but it was just Start with a capital S.
No, it doesn't. It's fine.
Cool. So click Add. Just so you already done this part. So when you clicked Start, there was an add. This creates a scene called Start and tells the action to transition to Start scene after the action delivers the welcome prompt to the user. Now, Elisa, you're going to click Scenes in the left navigation to show the list of scenes.
Yeah.
Cool. Under Scenes, click Start to see the Start scene. Can you find Start?
Yeah.
There should be a Start. I believe maybe going back if we have to click Save. It wasn't written in the step, but I just wonder if we had to do it.
Well, it's always a good idea to save.
Yeah, I mean, cool. So under Scenes in the left navigation shows under Scenes, click Start to see the Start scene. You're there, cool. Click on the plus sign in the On Enter section of the Start scene. Cool. Select the Send Prompts box. Replace the sentence in the speech field that says enter the response that users will see or hear dot 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 with a question to ask the user. Before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? So Elisa is going to paste that text in there, and then we're going to click save in the top right. She was already on it. Google Assistant provides this prompt before you continue on your quest to the user when they enter the start scene. Now we're going to have a look at the suggestion chips. Suggestion chips offer clickable suggestions for the user that your action processes as user input. In this section, you're going to add suggestion chips that appear below the prompt you just configured. Before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? To support users on devices with screens. So if you're on a Google Home, maybe the Mini that doesn't have a screen, this is not going to be supported. So to add suggestion chips to the start scenes prompt, follow these steps. In the start scene, click suggestions below the code editor. This action adds a single suggestion chip. Did you find it, Elisa?
Here.
Yeah, cool. In the title field, replace suggested responses with within single quotes, yes. Number 3, using the same formatting, manually add a suggestion chip called in the same format, no. So copy and paste that one and just change yes with no, correct? Your code should look like the following snippet that Elisa just wrote in there. Then, as she's rightly doing, click save. Now it's time for testing. Test your action in the simulator. At this point, your action should transition from the main invocation to the start scene and ask the user if they'd like their fortune told. Suggestion chips should also appear in the simulated display. Now we're going to test. To test your action in the simulator, follow these steps. In the top navigation bar, click on the test to take you to the simulator. Number 2, to test your action in the simulator, similarly to how we had done before, click Talk to My Test app in the input field on the top left. Then press Enter. Your action should respond with the main invocation prompt and the added start scene prompt. Before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? Can we see that, Elisa?
Yeah, it's actually talking.
Oh, it's talking from you. Okay, cool. So the following screen shows this interaction. Getting the test version, I think yours is already a bit more down. Cool. There's a note here. The event logs on the right records each of your simulator interactions in the current set. I got lost in all my screens just a second. I'm going to repeat what I just said. The event logs record each of your simulator interactions in the current session. So the event log from your testing earlier in this Codelab appears as the first event log. To clear your event logs, click Reset Test. So did you click it? Cool. Click the yes or no suggestion chip to respond the prompt. You can also say with your voice yes or no, or enter yes or no in the input field. So there are different ways of doing this interaction. When you respond to the prompt, your action responds with a message indicating that it can't understand your input. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you try again? Since you haven't yet configured your action to understand and respond to yes or no input, your action matches your input to a no match intent. Did we get that error, Elisa?
No, I didn't. How do I get it again? With anything?
So reset, talk.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have to reset somewhere else.
If you say anything, it should get it. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. Oh yeah, I can see that on the right. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Cool.
Yeah.
So key terms, it mentioned a no match intent. What is that? It's a catch-all intent that is matched when the user says something that can't be matched to another intent in your action. Elise, I think this is the new fallback intent. What do you think? That
Yes,
we used to do
definitely.
with the dialog flow. System
Definitely.
intent. Yeah. An intent that is configured by default and handles common system events, like when a user doesn't provide input, no match. And then the intent tied to the main invocation are examples of system intents. By default, the no match system intent provides generic responses, but you can customize these responses to indicate to the user that you didn't understand their input. The assistant ends the user's conversation with your action after it can't match user input 3 times. Add yes and no intents. Now that users can respond to the question your action poses, you can configure your action to understand the user's responses, yes or no. In the following sections, you are going to create custom intents that are matched when the user says yes or no, and add this intent to the start scene. So let's create the yes intent. Elise, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
To create the yes intent, follow these steps. Number 1, click develop in the top navigation. Just give me 1 second. Cool, I'm back. So she started with clicking the develop in the top navigation. Then number 2, click intents on the left navigation to open the list of intents. And then you're going to click the plus sign at the end of the list of intents. Could you find it?
Yeah.
Name the new intent yes and press return. Click the yes intent to open the yes intent page. Okay, cool, you're there. In the add training phrases section, click on the enter phrase text box and enter the following phrases. So here they give us some examples of yes. So it could be yes, the letter Y, I would, tell me. And then click save on the very far right. Add yes intent to the start scene. Now the action can understand when a user is expressing a yes intent. You can add the yes custom intent to the start scene. Since the user is responding to the start prompt, before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? So to add this custom intent to the start scene, follow these steps. Click on the start scene in the left navigation. Click on the plus sign in the start scene next to custom intent handling and select yes in the intent drop down. Could you find it?
I did.
Very good. Number 4, click send prompts and update the speech field with the following text. So your future depends on the aid you choose to use for your quest. Choose wisely. Farewell, stranger. Your code in your editor should look like the following snippet. I'm trying to remember what this syntax looks like. I think I don't know if it was CoffeeScript, one of those things that I had to use I can't remember what that reminds me of, but I remember in the past working with these dashes. Anyway, in the transition section, click the drop down and select End Conversation. Yeah, click Save.
Just a note over here, if this syntax is a bit too peculiar for you, you can also use the JSON. If you're more familiar with this syntax, I think that it's simpler.
I agree with you. So let's test the yes intent in the simulator. At this point, your action understands when the user wants to hear their fortune and returns the appropriate response. To test this intent in the simulator, follow these steps. In the top navigation bar, click Test. To test your activation, so it's the same way we've been testing over and over, and then type yes in the input field and press return. As an alternative, you can click yes in the suggestion chip. So what happens? Your action responds to the user and tells them their fortune depends on the aid they choose. Your action then ends the session because you selected the end conversation transition for the yes intent. So now let's create the no intent. That's it. We go back to develop, click intent in the left navigation, click on the plus sign, click no. And then we're going to do the same thing as we did for yes. Now we're going to add training phrases. Click in the add training phrases section, click enter phrase. There's a text box, yeah, and then we're going to write no, and I don't want to, nope, nay. We can get creative here. When we finish, we're going to click save. Add no intent to the start scene, just similarly to how we did to yes. Now the action can understand the user expressing no or something similar to no, like nope. You need to add the no custom intent to the start scene, since the user is responding to the start prompt. Before you continue on your quest, would you like your fortune told? So let's see what we have to do. Click the start scene in the left navigation. Click the plus sign in the start scene next to custom intent handling. In the intent section, select no in the drop-down. Could you find it?
Yeah, I already did it.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for the water because I'm drying here. So now we're going to click Send Prompts and update the speech field with the following text. I understand, stranger, dot. Best of luck in your quest, farewell. The code in your editor should look like the following snippet. Elisa, are you with me? So going back, so there is a add intent handling. We click in the intent section, select no in the drop down.
Wait, I'm lost here, right?
Let me go back. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Oh, we can only delete it. We couldn't find. So let me say again. Click the start scene in the left navigation. Click the plus sign in the start scene. Where is that plus sign? Plus. Did we get lost?
Next to the custom intent handling.
It says it's next to custom intent handling. I think the custom intent handling is in the end, right? At the bottom.
Ah, so it's here.
Yeah. Yeah, when no, very good. When no is matched.
Send prompts.
Yeah, and as Elisa mentioned before, if it's easier for you, you can go in the JSON tab and click Save. Back to our simulator, Elisa. Let's test it. We're going to talk to my test app. In the test tab, we're going to select talk to my test app, and then we're not going to select yes, but we're going to select no, and we expect to see the text, I understand, stranger, best of luck in your quest. Let's see if that's what we see. Yeah, cool. Instead of giving the user their fortune, your action wishes them good luck in their journey. Your action then ends the session because you selected the end conversation transition for the no intent. Now we're going to implement fulfillment. And back to you, Elisa.
All right.
Just give me a moment because I'm going to put mine up here. We're almost finished. We're on step 5 out of 6. Develop. Okay. Go ahead, Elisa.
All right. So to implement the fulfillment, currently your actions responses are static. When a scene containing a prompt is activated, your action sends the same prompt each time. In this section, you're implementing the fulfillment that contains the logic to construct a dynamic conversational response. Key terms, the fulfillment, the code that contains the logic for your action. A webhook triggers calls to your fulfillment based on events that occur within your actions. Your fulfillment identifies whether the user is a returning user or a new user and modifies the greeting message of the action for returning users. The greeting message is shortened for returning action for returning users and acknowledges the user's return. A wondrous greeting adventurer, welcome back to the mythical land of Gryffindor. For this Codelab, we're going to use the Cloud Functions editor in the Actions console to edit and deploy our fulfillment code. Key terms, the Cloud Function editor. There is also a link here that will take you directly to that. And it's the built-in editor, in the Actions console, which we can use to edit and deploy our fulfillment code. Your action can trigger webhooks that notify your fulfillment of an event that occurs during an invocation or specific parts of a scene's execution. When a webhook is triggered, your action sends a request with a JSON payload to your fulfillment along with the name of the handler to use the process of the event. This handler carries out some logic and returns a corresponding JSON response. So to build our fulfillment, we are going to modify the fulfillment in the inline editor to generate different prompts for returning users and new users when we invoke our action. To add this logic to our fulfillment, we are going to follow the steps. Amanda, are you sharing your screen? Awesome. Click Develop in the top navigation. Then we click on the Webhook tab in the left navigation. Select Inline Cloud Functions and click Confirm. Boilerplate code is automatically added for the index.js and the package.json files. Replace the contents of the index.js with the following code. You can see here that, first of all, we have our constants, which is the packages, the node packages for the Firebase and the assistant. And then we have our app handling. So whenever we have a greeting, then we are going to have custom messages. If the user has a last seen time field, that means that it's a returning user. So we are going to say welcome back. If it doesn't have that field, it means that it's a new user. So we are going to say the welcome to the mythical land. And then we just add it to our conversation and we send it. So click Save the Fulfillment and then deploy. Did you already deploy it, Amanda?
We're getting there. Deployment in progress. The status is cloud function content saved and deployment is in progress.
All right. In the meantime, I will continue. Understand the code. Your fulfillment, which uses the Actions on Google Fulfillment Library for Node.js, responds to an HTTP request from Google Assistant. In the previous code snippet, you defined a greeting handler, which checks if the user has previously visited the action by checking if there is a value in the last seen time property. If there is a date time value, the message acknowledges that the user is returned and generates a modified greeting. Otherwise, it provides the new user with the original greeting. Let me know when it's done, Amanda.
I believe that we're good to carry on, even though it hasn't finished, Elisa.
All right. So click the main invocation in the left navigation. And then clear send prompt and select call your webhook.
Hang on, I got lost. Clear send prompt and select. What do you mean clear? Like click here.
Click on the invocation name. Yeah. And then click on the select the webhook or call your webhook. All right. So add greeting, all small letters in the text box. And then click save. Also, it's very important to note that whatever variable you are putting over here, it's the same one that you need to use over here. So if this was with a capital letter G, then this one should be with a capital G as well. So now it's test to update our main invocation in the simulator. In the top bar navigation, click on the test, and then we can talk to our test app. Since you've tested the, it's not ready yet?
It just gave me a few errors. So we're kind of doing two people at the same time here. So bear with us, you're seeing real life errors. It just complained that I didn't have enough training phrases for no. And there is another error. Intent handling for needs a non-empty transition prompt candidate or function name. I don't know if this is going to get on the way. Let's see if we can continue.
All right.
You said to test, right?
Yes.
There's a chance this is not going to run because I got a failure whilst I was deploying. Let's have a look. I think in the meantime, Elisa, maybe you could try to do it locally.
Yeah, I do that.
Okay, I'll just stop sharing the screen for a little bit. So for the people following, we are on step number 5. We're implementing the fulfillment. How do you find this Codelab to the people who are following? Have you done this before? You know, there's something that I have to stop doing, Elisa, because all of my tests, when I'm doing, I call them actions-Codelab. I just opened all my Firebase projects. I have all of them are actions Codelab.
Yeah, I try to use the dates on them or delete them after a while.
That's smart.
So my action is deploying as well.
Cool. And sometimes people, when you have problems with deployment, it could be something also with your Firebase account. Maybe it's in a cold sleeping state, or it's in an incorrect. I don't know if we still have all the plans that we had before, like Blaze and all of the others.
Yeah, you still have all those. And sometimes if you have too many Firebase projects, it may ask you for some billing address and some billing information, although everything is free. So it's not going to be billed. It's just, it needs information for some reason.
Okay, I believe, Elisa, it's better for you to finish because whilst you were doing your part, this new project that I created, I haven't written anything. And then I just tried to get this Codelab that I did a while ago, but it's outdated, so I don't think I'll be able to finish for this Codelab that we're presenting right now.
Well, my cloud function is still development, deploying. So yeah, unless it deploys, there's not much I can do.
Yeah, your preview is being updated. Let's have a look. Actions going on.
It sure takes its time.
Yeah, I'm making sure that everything I have here on Firebase is correct as well. I am on the Spark plan, which is the free one. Let me check the logs.
Ah, finally.
You got it?
Okay, yeah. I did.
Cool.
So let me share my screen.
Very good. You're up.
All right. So over here, it was a greeting, right? Main location. Was there another step? No.
Which one?
All right. No, just checking.
Okay, so let's say the test one.
All right. So talk to my test app.
Okay, let me read here. Since you've tested your action earlier in this Codelab, you're not a new user, so you receive the following shortened greeting, as you can see there.
Yeah.
Thanks. So, next steps. Elise, I feel I read so much on the step number 4. Would you like to finish up reading next step?
Of course. All right, so first of all, congratulations. You have your first action for the Google Assistant. So what we covered today is how to set up the action project with the Actions console, how to add prompts to the main invocation so that the users can start a conversation with your action, how to create a conversational interface with scenes, intents, transitions, suggestion tips, and fulfillment, and how to test your action with the action simulator. There is also over here some additional learning resources that you can see. The first one is the Codelab, the level 2, which is going to be based on this one, and you're just going to build on top of that some extra functionality. The official documentation site for developing actions for the Google Assistant, the Actions on Google GitHub page for sample codes and libraries, and the official Reddit community. You can also follow them on Twitter with the hashtag AOGDevs, which stands for Actions on Google Devs. And there is a feedback survey if you have any feedback for this specific Codelab, which we would also love to hear about.
Yeah, we finished.
Yeah, that's it.
So how long did it take us to do it? So the entire streaming is 1 hour and 5 minutes, and we took like 5 minutes chatting in the beginning. So we managed to do everything 1 hour. And this is like reading out loud and stopping. So I guess you can get a lot done in a short time now that we are, I don't know how you are in there, but I'm still on lockdown myself. So there are ways that we can just learn new things and new technologies. This is actually brand new. I think it was just a couple months ago that this went out. So very good knowledge to have right now.
Exactly. So the new console is brand new, which means, of course, that if you have any feedback on that, especially the bad feedback, you can always come to me and Amanda. And first of all, we can help you out, and second of all, we can just relay this to the people that work behind this and make your lives and our lives much easier. I would strongly suggest for you to have a look on the other Codelabs as well, especially the level 2, because it is based on what we already did. And it's going to give you a more in-depth explanation on how things work. I think that the main thing for you to remember is that the user talks to the Google Assistant talks to your action, and then what happens after that, it depends on you. So if you want your users to do something based on the prompts that they already gave you, then you use the seeds, for instance. If you want to steer them to a direction, like the yes and no, then you use the chiefs. Or if you want to show them something, then you can use the canvas or the videos or the photos. So that the possibilities that you can do is basically limitless.
Yeah.
Sometimes that limitless has, like, the imagination doesn't have limits, and the platforms always do. So if you have any great ideas on how to expand the functionality, or if you have an idea that you can currently not use because of the current platform, please come back to us. We had great talks like this. So it's going to be really nice to know what you want to build and to help you on your way there.
So inspiring. Yeah, definitely. This one just had like one screen, one scene. So there's a lot more that you can do. That's just like a starting point for you to build a lot more interesting stuff. And Elisa, one of the things that I was thinking is that now, especially that we have this whole coronavirus thing, I think people will want to touch things with their hands less and less. I was thinking like when you have to go to the ATM and then thinking that you have to touch the machine that so many people are using, I started to think of the possibilities that you can build with voice. And using a platform like this really allows us to just have the creativity for things, even just for our day-to-day survival. And that's just like the first little seed for people to build the ideas for the future.
Exactly.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, we are on Twitter. I forgot to add your ad here. So I am, just type again. I am Chibi Biana and Elisa Humber. So you can send us a message on Twitter. My DMs are open. Are yours open, Elisa?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so our DMs are open. You can also just write in the open, like tweet openly. We're here for you, for the community. Hope you had a nice session with us today. And what time is it there, Elisa?
It's 11:30.
Thanks for being up so late doing this. It's 9:40 here. You're 2 hours ahead.
Yes.
That's funny because most places that I talk to people in Europe are like 1 hour ahead. I know my friend in Turkey, she's 2 hours ahead. So you're in the same time zone as Turkey.
Yeah. Amsterdam, for instance, where I'm based on, basically That's 1 hour ahead. Germany as well. France. Most of the Europe is +1 for you.
Excellent. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and have a good night of sleep.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.